A very good evening to everyone. Let me just mute my phone because I can hear the music still playing. So let me just take that down. Now, you will notice that I've put a clock. And the reason I've put a clock is not to show off. It's because whenever I watch a live, I'm always clock watching, thinking, should I be doing something else? So the clock is there for you guys so you can keep an eye on the time if you have got anything to do. And also for me to look at to get a move on with what I'm doing. So that's the reason for that. I'm going to take my glasses off and see who is in the House of Craft tonight. We've got Sarah Lou. Hi there, Sarah. We've got Karen. We've got Kay. We've got Hazel. We've got Claire. We've got Linda, Margaret, Sue, Joan. We've got Tina. Hi there, Tina. Glad you found us. I knew you said you were having problems. We've got Naomi. I think we said Sue, Sonia, Elizabeth. We've got Jill. Hi there, Jill. Hope everyone managed to see Jill's show on Create and Craft just the other day. She did a fabulous job explaining how to create a perfect crackle effect using Pentart products. We've got Louisa. Hello, Louisa. We've got Joan. I think I've said hello to Joan about 3 times now. And we have got Judith. So what I'm doing this evening is the very first time, just a couple of weeks ago, I bought some Stamperia products. And I've got to say, the only reason I bought Stamperia products were because they had a certain theme that I'm sort of very passionate about, and that is New York. So this is something that some of you may have seen that I made earlier on the other week, and then I also made this one here. So I've got a little thing about New York, but what I'm going to be producing this evening is something basically what is left over from all those bits and pieces. Stamperia do lots of paper pads as well as moulds, but I've been using the paper pads and I've cut them all by hand. I'm sure all of you who have followed me throughout my, I think it's about 17 or even 18 years now on TV crafting, will know that I'm a bit of a dab hand where it comes to using a scalpel. And yes, I do say scalpel rather than craft knife because my preferred one is the Swan Morton one. So I have already cut everything out, but the technique I want to show you really this evening is one that is the Verdigris effect. Now Verdigris, if you've never ever heard of that before, is basically the weathering of copper. So you've probably seen things like St Paul's Cathedral that are like that sort of like greeny sort of bluey colour, and that is the sort of like the Verdigris that I'm going to attempt to show you this evening how to do. It really is a nice and easy effect, and admittedly about 11 months ago I uploaded something onto my YouTube channel, and it was one of those videos where I thought, do you know what, it's all right, but no one's going to be really interested in. Well, believe it or not, 11 months on, it's had over 7,200 hits, which has absolutely amazed me. I'm astonished. It's my most watched video, and to be quite honest with you, I don't know why, but I thought I would share that technique with you guys this evening. So if you do want to hop across to my YouTube channel at a later date, please do so, and there is a video on there, but this is a completely different one. So what I'm going to be verdigrising is basically the tablets that the Statue of Liberty holds, and then we're going to be creating something around that. Let's just see who else is in the crafting house. We have got Elizabeth. Hi there, Elizabeth. Ian has joined us. He said he was going to be watching. We've got Angela. Hello there, Angela. I'm not going to mention naked crafting whatsoever. Oh, I just did. We've got Carol. Hi there, Carol. Welcome. We've got Blanche. Hello there, Blanche. Glad you can join us. Let's have a look. Yeah, you can't beat a Swan Morton scalpel, says Ian. Absolutely right. We've got also Nikki who's joined us as well. So, like I say, the first part of this demonstration isn't going to be live. The reason being, the Verdigris technique does take a little bit of time. It's between 45 minutes and an hour and a bit. So I didn't want to bore you all with that. So this bit is pre-recorded. Now it has been sped up a little bit by about 30%. Okay, so if you think that I'm either using a craft or a scalpel a little bit quickly or painting a little bit quickly, that is the reason why. So I'm just going to look over here and we'll have a look at that demo. Right, so what I first of all started off by doing was taking some bits of cardboard. Now the cardboard I use is normally a 3mm piece of card, And what I've done, I've actually stuck it onto another piece of card. So we're talking at least 4mm thick. Now the glue that I've used to actually stick those together is available from That's Crafty. So that's their multi-purpose craft adhesive. I find that one to be a really great grab. And seriously, you can't go wrong. It's PVA based glue, but it's got very little water content, so it dries and sets really, really quickly. So at the moment, what I'm just achieving there is the actual tablet that the Statue of Liberty holds. So that's a sort of like a near enough a similar shape. What I'm applying first is a little bit of the gesso that's also a product from That's Crafty. So please head over to their website. It's all W's, that'scrafty.co.uk. Absolutely phenomenal delivery. Seriously, I've used them a few times, and every time I do, I'm just surprised at how quick it is. So the reason I've actually coated this is because I'm then going to use their texture paste, okay? And I do find that if I use the texture paste directly onto a piece of card, it can give like a cracked effect, which is absolutely great. You know, sometimes that's what you want. But in this case, I didn't want the cracked effect actually on that. So I'm going to be using a stencil, and this is one from the Sir Vagabond range from Stamperia. It's sort of like probably like a newspaper type print, so that's what I'm actually doing there. So I'm just using a palette knife to actually just spread that over. The one thing I would say with all texture pastes is that in between, just make sure that you really do clean your stencil well in between uses. So let's just have a look at some of the questions. I have overcome my scalpel fear, used it twice so far. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing your lovely tips on YouTube channel about making moulds. It's helped me tremendously. You're so welcome, Sue. Let's have a look there. And Ian says, I use D4 exterior builder PVA. It's very strong. I can imagine it is. So in between, you can actually heat set the That's Crafty texture paste. What I would say, it's a bit like most texture paste, just don't put the nozzle of the heat gun too close to the texture paste, otherwise it can have a tendency of bubbling up. But again, if you want that sort of effect, then you know, just go for that. Let's have a look. Judith, Carol says, Judith Long, just go at your own pace, you'll get used to it eventually. I've been using a scalpel since grammar school and much prefer them to craft knives. Yeah, you know what, Carol, I do. The reason being, you can see where you are cutting. That's the real advantage. I find that some of the actual craft knives, the actual handle is quite bulbous at the end and you can't see the point of the blade. Now what I'm doing here with the texture paste, I'm just actually pouncing that onto the surface, and the reason I'm actually doing that is just to create a little bit more texture, and it's going to, just like I say, create just something a little bit different, and it also breaks up where I've got that sort of like join of the stencil where I've gone over the entire piece. So just keep on going around with that, like I say, just pouncing that on with the back of the palette knife. Number 15 or number 11 blades, I do believe, Jill, they are, let me just have a look for you, they are the 10As. That's the ones I actually prefer. Obviously Jill will probably know obviously a lot about the blades, because Jill has used them in a true professional case where she used to be a surgeon, I do believe. So yep, it's actually the 10A blades. That's the ones I use, but you can get rounded blades as well. Now these colours here, which are the teal colour and also the yellow, I've mixed those, and that's going to give you that verdigris colour. Okay, so it's like a greeny bluey colour, and I'm just going to go over the entire tablet just to go with that. So Ian says the shape of a scalpel blade is designed cutting. I find that craft knives are round and spin in your hand. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I've always found. We have Diane, who has joined us. You're not late at all. Only just a couple of minutes. Let's have a look. And then we've got Brianna, who has joined us. Well, I hope I've mentioned your name and said it right. I've been teasing this afternoon with her that I'd get it right. Listen, Elizabeth says, do you have the link to your YouTube channel, please? I've watched you for years and I know your videos will be inspirational. Oh, bless you. Thank you, Elizabeth. Yep, I'll give that information after this video. Yep, sounded great, says Brianna. So there we go. Then again, it's just a case of drying all of that paint actually in situ. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of a black to it, okay? And then just give that a little bit of a mix in and also add some water. This is going to just like water down the whole solution, makes it a little bit easier just to then actually paint on. I use the micro serrated edge scissors from, is that Dawn Bibby, for fussy cutting. Yeah, they can be really, really good as well, some scissors. It just depends what you're used to, really. Hi there, Dominique. Dominique has joined us. We don't have any fleur-de-lis with an S on the end this evening, or not that I can see anyway. But if they come along, Dominique, I will make sure that I pronounce them properly. So I'm just going over with the dark colour over the entire tablet. Okay, so you don't have to be precious about this. Just whack the paint on, for want of a better term, and then I'm just going to dry it, but not entirely. So this is the important bit here. Don't dry it entirely, just for a little bit. Now remember, this video is sped up by about 30%, and I'm just using a baby wipe and I'm just wiping that down just a little bit, and already you can see it's taken that bright finish that we originally had and it's just dulled it back, and already it's giving a beautiful verdigris technique. I find Swan Morton retractable blades as well as the fixed ones, and I find it easier to hold. Yep, the retractable Swan Morton blades are really good, Ian. I find them, oh, this sounds a bit weak, but I actually do find them a little bit on the heavy side, so I prefer the other ones. But there we go. Everyone, like I say, to their own. Good evening to Marisol. Hello there. Glad you can join us. We're basically, just do a quick recap for you. We are painting the Statue of Liberty's tablet. And I know that the real Statue of Liberty does have, I think it's July the 4th written on there, and the date, etc. But this one has got like a newspaper stencil that I've used on it. Hi there, Noreen. Noreen has joined us. Glad you could join us there, Noreen. And Mary has as well. And we've got Julie. Hello there, Julie. Glad you could join us as well. Lots of lovely crafty people in the crafting house this evening. Now what I've done, I've just added some sort of like an ivory colour there, and I'm just going to again spray that, and notice I've actually sprayed the surface, and I'm just going to pounce that all over. Again, you don't need to be too precious. I think the thing is with this technique, the more random it is, the more effective it's going to be, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to go over the whole lot with that. And then I'm just going to spray it a little bit, and then this is quite an important part here. Okay, after I have done that, I'm just going to, rather than wipe, I'm just going to use a dry cloth to actually just pull some of that paint off. And this will give you almost that sort of like aged look, and that's what we're actually after for this particular sort of like type of effect. So one tip is not to buy the cheap Chinese made scalpel blades. Yeah, absolutely, Swan Morton ones are the best. Yep, without a doubt. So now I'm actually holding it up, so the paint sort of like runs down, because if you've ever looked at verdigris in like the natural, you know, outside, etc., obviously where the rains come along and it's naturally just sort of like gone over the piece, then it's sort of like going to dribble down and give that sort of type of effect. So I've dried that, and now I'm going to add a second coat of the white. And the thing is with this particular process, the more steps it is, then the more effect you're going to achieve at the end. Okay, so although this technique is extremely simple, and as you can see it is because I'm doing it, but it really is nice and simple. But the more time you spend on it and the more layers of colour that you put on, the more weathered the look is going to be. So again, I've just sprayed it, and again I'm just going to dry it, but not entirely. Just go over it a little bit, okay, and that would just dry like just a very, very thin layer of the white. So just keep on going over. Okay. Admittedly, it's a little bit of a hit and miss technique, but seriously, it's more hit than miss. And again, I'm just holding it up and I'm spraying, and you can see there the water is just running down onto the glass mat. So that's the sort of effect that you really, really want, and to give that sort of like unique verdigris finish. And obviously, you know, every single project you actually use this on, everything is going to look completely and utterly different. On my YouTube channel, I actually decorated a glass pot in exactly the same technique, and you know, that worked pretty much well as well. Right, so I'm just going to be using a back of an embossing folder here. Okay, so I'm just using some of the metallic paint from That's Crafty, and I'm just going to use a brayer. Okay, that's just to pick the paint up. So if you watch my last Facebook Live in the group, I used a similar technique there where I did a medieval type theme, and I'm just dragging that over just to pick up on the highlights there of the texture paste that we laid down originally using the texture paste from That's Crafty. So again, I'm not going over the whole lot as such, but I'm just picking up as much as it sort of like wants to naturally, if that makes sense. Just rolling over, I'm applying hardly any pressure at all to actually do that. So there we go, I'm just adding a little bit more where I want some of that to be, and there we go. We now have the beautiful metallic finish on the high points that is the stencil work with the texture paste. So I'm just going to add some of my original colour, okay, and then I'm just going to add some black acrylic paint, okay, just give that a little bit of a mix again. And this again is just another layer. You don't have to go to the extremes I'm doing here. You'll see you know, when you do this sort of like finish where you want it to finish, if that makes sense. So like I say, the more layers of colour, then the more aged it's going to look, or weathered. Let's have a look. So just like they used to do for old printing plates. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, and that's exactly what they used to do. So what I'm doing now, I'm just brushing over, so where I think it maybe looks a little bit too perfect, I'm just going over there, a little bit of dry brushing. Brushing is a technique where you have hardly any paint on your brush, okay, and you just literally just lightly brush over. For those of you who don't really know about dry brushing, there is a video if you want to follow that on my YouTube channel, and like I say, I will give you the details for that in a moment. So we've got about 2 minutes left of this video, and like I say, it is sped up, okay, so the actual process can take between 45 minutes and an hour and a bit. Hi there, Debbie. Debbie has joined us, Debbie Moore. I'm glad you could join us. And again, I'm just pouncing over with the white because it's all about, like I say, just aging it by every single layer. I'm just going to go for a little bit of the dark there as well. So we're just going to spray that. We're going to mix that in as well. Okay, so there's not one uniform colour over the top there. So it's just mixing all the time. And then once again, I'm just going to... Let's have a look. I forgot what I was going to do because, like I said, this is pre-recorded. Let's have a look what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to spray it again, I would imagine. Or no, I'm not. I'm going to wipe it off with a cloth. There you go. Completely forgot what I was going to do. So I'm just going to wipe that off using just a baby wipe. Okay. And then I'm going to spray it. I knew spraying was going to come into it somewhere. But you can again see where those the water is just like running down there. That's a sort of like the aged look that I'm after. Okay, so we're just going to let that one drip, just tap it off a little bit. Okay, and then we are near enough done. Okay, so just keep on showing, and then finally, there we go, we can just go over with that, and that is our finished verdigris effect on the tablet. So this, we are now back live. Okay, so this is the piece just here. Okay, so you can see that is exactly the type of effect that you can achieve just using that effect. So it's very old and looks very, very weathered. Okay, right, so what are we going to do to finish this off? So I'm just going to adjust my camera just that way a little bit. Okay, and first of all, okay, that is our finished piece, okay, like I say, but we're just going to stick that on. I'm just going to pop that down for a second, just down there, and I'm using some other products from Stamperia, which are these beautiful papers. Now, I don't know if you've ever used Stamperia papers, but they are quite thick. The only downside to them for me is, and I'm sure for you guys as well, is they're double-sided, which is really, really annoying. So it's always like, which side do you use? I know a lot of people buy two. So what I've done, I've cut a piece of MDF, but you could be using card. It could be a canvas. So I'm just going to stick these down. So all of these beautiful images on the back, oh, I'm afraid they're going to have to go because I don't want those. So the glue that I'm using, like I say, is the one from That's Crafty. It's the multi-purpose adhesive, a good strong PVA glue. So just make sure that's all over there. Okay, and I'm just going to stick that part down like so. So I've already done lots of the trimming just so it doesn't take up too much time, and then just press that down. Okay, what I tend to do is just get a piece of cloth just to wipe that down. So if you do have mucky fingers, okay, maybe you've done a messy process like we have just done there using the Verdigris. Okay, so like that. We've got Beatrice, who has come on board there. Buy two, says Brianna. Yeah, two. Goodness me. Oh dear. Right, so we're just going to stick that one just on that side as well. So this is the actual cover on the other side of this paper. I know Brianna has got some of these papers. She's a bit of a Stamperia-holic as well. Like I say, this is actually my first go, the previous projects that I've showed you. So I'm just going to pop that one down there, and that one butts up quite nicely. Okay, so just butt that one up, and again, just go over that. Let's have a look. So what did Ian say? I have double-sided papers. Yeah, but I think Cal is right. You know, they are. It is a bit of a waste, but there you go. You can either. I think it's obviously a marketing ploy. So you have to buy two. So I'm just going to smooth that down. Okay, like so. And then what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm just going to pop that aside just for that to dry a little bit. So we're just going to come back to that in a moment. So I'm just going to pop that down for the time being. Now, next thing we're going to do is molds. Okay, so if you've never ever used a mold before, okay, this one is a Prima mold, okay, and it is a really, really beautiful mold. It's I think it's called, do you know, I don't know what it actually is called, but it's a Prima one. I got this from That's Crafty, and it was in their sale. Not sure if the sale is still on, okay, but please head over there because you will find yourself a bargain if it is still on. Now I'm just going to use some corn flour already on my brush there. Okay, so corn flour will just help release the clay. So I'm just going to tap that out. I have already mixed up some colours here. Okay, so I'm going to be using the let's have a look. This was the black mixed with the white. Okay, so just give that a good old mix. Okay, over your fingers. Let's see if we can just zoom in there. There we go. It's a little bit closer for us. And then just literally just push that in there. Let's have a look. What does Ian say? I don't know how to use molds, Anthony. Well, Ian, I don't believe you. Ian is a Zuri-holic. So again, just press that in. Now there is one tip I would say. That if you're completely new, okay, to clay, the very best one to use is Hearty Soft clay. Okay, that's from a company called Artista, artistasoft.co.uk. By far the best price. I do believe this pack elsewhere it's £11.99 or even £12.99. At artistasoft.co.uk it is the cheapest I know, £6.50. Okay, so head over there. So just press the clay into the mould, and then it's just a case of just flexing it. Okay, and you can see there the piece has dropped out. Let's just see if we can bring up the detail with the other camera. Oh, there we go. So you can see there that is a sort of detail that you can be achieving from the beautiful moulds from either Prima or Zuri. Okay, so I'm just going to let that dry, and normally it's going to take, okay, to be honest with you, I let them dry overnight. Now another tip is, if you've never used moulds, you've never used the clay, and you've seen other people demonstrate it and it gets all stuck in their fingers, and believe me, I've seen quite a lot of people demonstrate it and thought to myself, oh my goodness me. But all you need to do, okay, is get the clay out of the packet, okay, and then just let it dry for about 10 minutes, okay, outside the packet. Obviously not all of it because it is air drying. Make sure that you've actually sealed everything so it's still fresh, okay, in an airtight bag and possibly a container, but only take a small amount out at a time that you're actually using it. But if you find it is sticking in the mould, even if you are using corn flour, then what I would suggest is pop your clay into the mould and then pop your mould into the freezer for about half an hour, and then when you pull it out you can then just push out the clay, and although the clay will still take about half an hour to actually completely air dry, sorry, 24 hours to air dry, okay, you can literally just pop them out of the mould, okay, straight away. But like I say, let them air dry for about 24 hours before you do any painting. Right, so that's how you use moulds. Ian, I hope you were paying attention at that point. Not that Ian needs any tuition, because Ian mainly uses resin, I do believe. Right, okay, so back to our piece here. Okay, so I've just let that dry a little bit. At the moment that's still a little bit too clean for me, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to grab a brush, okay, and I'm just going to age this slightly. Right, let's use them. Let's have a look. What's the conversation here? No, I was quite surprised, possibly because it's only so it's a long time since I used air dry clay, says Ian Scott. I use any except the ones that need baking. I can't cook. Right, okay, so I've got some on there. Now what I'm going to do, don't worry about this, I'm just going to spray directly onto this, okay. It's so that the actual paint doesn't soak in that well, okay. So don't worry, I'm not ruining it. And again, I'm just going around. This is the ivory paint from That's Crafty. So basically I just want to just age it. I'm not going in the middle too much because I know that that's where the tablet that the Statue of Liberty holds, that we've already decorated with that verdigris look. Okay, so literally, as you can see, I'm not caring where I actually pop that on there. Just give that a little bit of a spray again, okay, like so. Here comes the good old sponge, okay. So it's just knocking back the texture, or the printed image anyway. Never poured resin, says Tina. Well, it is good fun. It is good fun, without a doubt. Some resins you do have to be pretty quick, as I'm sure Ian will also tell you. But you know, some have got a longer. I think they call it a pop time. So you just got to be wary, basically. So let's just go over that like so. I'm just going to start to dry this. Whilst I'm doing that, I'm just going to put on my advert for my YouTube channel. So let's just find that one for you. Okay, still drying away. So like I say, that white, you know, it doesn't show a lot, but again, it's just knocked back that printing just a little bit. Okay, so I'm just drying that off. Obviously, when you're at home, you're going to take a lot more time than I am here. Let's have a look. You just have to get a pot life about 10 minutes like I use. Yeah, that's probably the best actually, Ian. Admittedly, you know, I've used quite a lot of different resins that have had quite a short pot life of, I think it's about 3 minutes. So you do have to work extremely hard. So the more detailed your molds are, okay, then what you'll probably find is you need a longer pot time, just so you can get all the resin into the small parts of that. Okay, right, let's just pop that one down there. I'm just going to use this. I better not show Kay this, because it's a finished reel of tape. You see, I am getting ready for it. So Kay did a fantastic live, just I think it was at the weekend, wasn't it, Kay, where she created this beautiful little drawer using those. So that was brilliant. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to use this one here, which is the chestnut brown, that is also from That's Crafty. Okay, so I'm just going to use a non-stick mat just here. Okay, so I'm just going to pour, or am I going to pour? I'm just going to use this. There you go, I'm just going to use that. Okay, being a little bit messy here, just paint that on there. And I'm just going to go round. And the reason I bought that reel of tape in there, you didn't see it, did you? Did you, Kate? No, you didn't. So I'm just going to go round, and again, it's just going to sort of like make a border around this. Okay, so it's just going to like knock that back a little bit, give it a sort of like a bit of a ragged look to it. Okay, so we don't want perfect. Okay, so I'm just using a little bit of old sponge there, plus a chef's blowtorch and cocktail sticks. That's to get the air bubbles out, isn't it? Well, I don't know about the cocktail sticks, or is it? Yeah, I suppose it is. So I'm just going to go all the way around. Okay, so just keep on going with that. So there we go. Just dab that, and then just go all the way around. But you can see that little reel of tape there just holds it proud of your work surface, and I find it just makes it a little bit easier to actually apply the paint all the way around. So you can spin it, as you can see, that's what I'm doing here, and just going all the way around like so. Okay, there we go. So I'm finding excuses to use my tape. Well, that's the thing, after seeing that project that Kay did, it was pretty fantastic. And yeah, I've got to admit, when I finally finished my tape, and it was only the other day, seriously, Kay, I was making up a box, and I thought, no, I'm not going to throw it. I am going to take up the Kay challenge, and I will be creating a box. We'll have to see what theme it's in, but it will get done. Blowtorches are right up there with scalpels for me, says Brianna. We won't ask, but I know Brianna actually goes killing zombies in the evenings online. So yeah, that's probably what she likes, that sort of thing. There we go. So you can see there, we've just brought in the overall effect. Let's just drop that down again onto the desk so you can see it. So that's the sort of effect we've actually got there. Okay, right, so we are getting there. Let's have a look at the time. It's so handy having that clock on the screen there. We're about 25 minutes to 8. So I hope I'm not keeping everyone, or you're not falling asleep. I'm an accident waiting to happen. I'm sure you are. Hi there, Jane. Jane has joined us. Ian says, yes, you just run them around, the fine detail and lettering, and so the bubbles. Yeah, that makes absolute sense. So there is that part there. Now we're going to bring back into play our little tablet there that the Statue of Liberty holds. Okay, so I'm just going to place that there so you can see that little bit of white on the background there. You can see the centre. It's probably a bit more difficult for you guys to see, but the centre part is very, very strong, but round the outside there, it's just been knocked back by the white paint, and we've just created that like border on it. So I popped some bits of old MDF that I had. Again, you can use cardboard, you can use foam tape if you want, but when I've got to admit, when I create a project, I do make it want to last. I'm just like that. I don't know why, but there we go. I was going to post you one. What, me one? I don't know. Let's have a look. So I'm just going to centre that up. I'm just going to use the camera there to hopefully line that one up thereabouts ish. Okay, just going to press that one down. Right, just going to now pop that on the floor. I'm just going to put a weight on it just so it sticks that down. But whilst I'm doing that, I'm just going to show you, I'm not sure if any of you guys have seen it, but this is a close-up look at the first piece of, or the first sample I showed you this evening that I called a Liberty. Okay, that's what you call the interlude. Right, hi there, Deborah. Deborah has joined us, and let's have a look. Right, so I've got a question for you guys then. So what's going to happen here, I've already cut out, or shall I say I've made this cast from another Prima mould, okay, that's from That's Crafty. I've used then a piece of cardboard and I have cut around it. Now the trick is, when you actually make anything using air drying clay, just remember it does shrink, okay? So sometimes it can take a couple of days to like shrink back to what it's originally going to be, okay? So don't do it straight away. So this is what's going to happen. We have this in the middle here, and we have the Statue of Liberty that I have cut out using my Swan Morton blade. She's going to sit there. My question is, which background is going to go on this cardboard? Do we want this one here? Okay, so I'm just going to stick that in just so you can see. Okay, so just let's have a look. Okay, so do we want that one? So it's going to be like that. Or do we want this one here? Okay, so the light or the dark one. So who's gonna? So there we go. That's my question to you guys. Do you want the light background or the dark one? Okay, I'm just gonna wait a couple of seconds, see what anybody says. Let's have a look. We have dark. Okay, we've got there. Everyone's saying dark. That is the right answer, actually. Light, says Tina. Dark, says Brianna. Light, says Kay. Dark, says Elizabeth. She stands out on the dark. I think she does as well. Dark. We're going to the dark side of the Force. So I hope. And by the way, I hope all you guys are Star Wars fans, just like me. And if you didn't know, that's actually starting a brand new series. So that's a real big plug, isn't it? That one is. So I'm going to stick that on there. I'm just going to make sure that we've got a little bit of that slight verdigris colour just coming in there. Possibly we'll get it, possibly we won't. So let's have a look. They have cookies on the dark side, I hear. Do they? So again, I'm just going to be using some of that craft glue. And the thing is with PVA glues, I'm sure you're all aware, the craft glues, they don't have as much water content, okay, but don't spread them too thickly, okay. Just make sure that you give them quite a thin coating, because you'll find they actually work a lot better like that. So let's just go. Let's have a look. May the Force be with you. Ah, indeed, Sarah Lou, indeed. My sons have told me that I'm not allowed to watch it during the day. I've got to wait until they come home. I don't know if I can hold them to that, though. I've got to admit. Let's have a look. My son is a mad Star Wars fan. Even expensive Lego. Yeah, don't talk to me about Lego. Oh, dearie me, Elizabeth. Yes. Let's have a look. They put in glass cabinet. Oh, I can't see anything wrong in that. Well, do you know what? I don't know if any of you are aware, but I am sort of like a bit of a mega Star Wars fan. And my two sons, bless them, when they were born, and some of you have probably already heard this story, so I do apologise if you have. But one of them is called Lucas. Okay, I think that one's pretty obvious because Star Wars was made or created by a person called George Lucas, so that's why he's called Lucas. And then the other one is actually called Hayden, who is Hayden Christian, who is the actor who played Darth Vader in the prequel. So that's episodes 1, 2 and 3. And obviously the wonderful David Prowse was the person who was also the Green Cross Code Man. Can anyone remember the Green Cross Code Man? Oh my goodness me. So yeah, so that's why my sons are actually called that. You know, it was either that or calling them R2D2 and C3PO, but I just didn't think, you know, like when you're in a park or out shopping, you know, to shout that across the supermarket or the car park. So that was the reason why, you know, I decided on that. So what I'm doing here obviously is the boring bit, which is cutting around. Okay. Well, let's have a look. Okay, Anne was going to unfriend me because I've never watched a Star Wars film. Would I ever do that, Kay? No, I wouldn't. Oh, dear me. Mind you, I've had people do it to me, but that's just another story. Oh, goodness me. Oh, dear. I could also tell you all about that piece that I've just showed you, you know, that actually got me kicked out of a group. Can you believe it? I showed that Statue of Liberty in a group, and they actually kicked me out for it. No reason whatsoever. Some people are strange. So I'm just going to go onto the back of the clay. Now, paper clay, or the hearty clay, okay, actually is made of paper pulp and glue. So it is very porous, so it takes really, really well to all of your different mediums and also the glues. So you don't need to rough it up. Sometimes you do with things like resin, just sort of like scrape the back. But in this case, you can just go all the way with the glue, and that's going to soak in beautifully to the surface of the clay. Okay, so I'm just going to go all the way around. Again, I'm just thinning that out just so it works a little bit quicker. Let's have a look. I remember the Green Cross Code, but showing your age. Debbie, tell me about it. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Yeah. Yeah, the Green Cross Code Man. Oh dear me. I think the funniest thing I saw was that's probably on back. That's on upside down. I was scanning YouTube as I often do for inspiration, have you? But I come across this scene from the original Star Wars, and there was David Prowse, who is from, I think he's from Bristol way, or the southwest of the country, and there was a scene on there where you actually showed you Darth Vader actually read his lines with a Bristolian accent. It was very, very funny. Very, very funny. So I'm just going to hold that down just a little bit. So there we go, our little frame there with our background, which is really, really beautiful. Right, so bring our canvas back in. Okay, and we're just going to pop that like that. Okay, we're getting there. So again, I'm just going to use 2 blocks here just to add a little bit of dimension. Let's have a look. Mary says light. Was that in answer to the question earlier, or I don't know. Let's have a look. We had the Tufty Club. So even up, Noreen, I remember old Tufty. I had some of his books. Tough, didn't he used to wear a little blue jacket? I think he did, didn't he? I'm sure he had a little blue jacket, bless him. Oh dear me. But he was always naughty, wasn't he? Because he always used to run across the road. Oh, I don't know, just can't trust these squirrels, can you? Right, so I'm just going to use some glue. Okay, onto the back. Let's have a look. Tufty Flufftail, was that his name? There we go. Oh dear me, my glue has seized up in the syringe, as it always does, just when you don't want it to. Let's have a look. Let's just give this one a good old squeeze. Okay, let's have a look. Oh dearie me, technical difficulties tonight with glue. There we go. Right, who else has a problem with their syringe and their glue? Does it always get stuck? Oh jeez. There we go. Right, let's stick a little bit on there. Okay, we're going to flip that over. Okay, we're going to center. I'm just going to use the camera just there to center it. Okay, about there. Okay, right. Let's have a look. I think the blue jacket was Squirrel Nutkin, wasn't it? Or I don't know. I thought that was Tufty. I don't know. They used to give out badges. I can remember the badges. Let's have a look. We've got Anne Marshall. Hello there, Anne. Glad you can join us this evening. We are making a canvas using a verdigris effect that that I showed earlier, and now we're just going to start decorating with Stamperia products. Okay, right. So let's have a look. That's about straight. Right, now I have all these pieces here. Okay, that I'm going to, and to be honest with you, I'm not going to glue them on now. Okay, I'll tell you that, because you guys know how glue works. But I'm just going to position it. Okay, but I have cheated, and I'll explain that in a moment. I'm just going to stick this behind the Statue of Liberty, so we're going to raise her up as well. Okay, let's just move that there. And by the way, if you want to be absolutely correct about it, that is the correct way with the Statue of Liberty. I know with the Stamperia papers, they have the reverse and they print the statue the other way around, but the statue is that way. Okay, so I'm just going to stick that down. Again, just using some of that's crafted glue. Just going to pop that on there, like so. Just make sure she's near enough square. Okay, just press that down. Okay, right, so here is my trick. Okay, she's holding a tablet. I've got another tablet here. So in this, okay, what I tend to do, okay, is I play with how it's going to be laid out. So here is how I'm going to lay this one out. Okay, so this is a trick that I tend to do. I cut out all bits and I position them, move them about, move them to the left, move them to the right. You know how it is, layer them, etc, etc. And then you think, yep, that's perfect. And then you take them all away and you try to stick them back. And how many times do you ever get it spot on? So that is my trick. So I'm going to pop my tablet just over there. And then we're just going to run through just positioning this. Like I say, I'm not going to stick these all down because I'm just going to do that in my own time. But I'm just going to show you the overall positioning of everything, just so you guys sort of can see my workings. But sometimes it takes for absolute ever to build it up how I like it, and like I say, that's why I take a picture. So what I've done, the Stamperia pads come with so many different images. These ones, what I've actually done, I've used some Versamark and I've used some clear embossing powder just to glaze them. Okay, so that works quite nicely. So I'm just going to tuck the bridge under there, or should I tuck the bridge there? I've got a picture, I'm not even following it. How bad am I? So I'm just going to position that there, and it's all about layers. So the main framework itself is like very square, got lots of lines going about it. So I purposely made the center part so there's lots of circles going on. So they do some wonderful clocks as well at Stamperia. Now, because I've got the blocks underneath, I am actually going to have to cut some of these back a little bit. But like I say, I'm not going to bore you all with that. Okay, I'm just going to go with it as it is. So we're going to pop that one under there. So it may not look exactly how it's going to look when I finally take some pictures a little bit later on. Oh, neat idea, Anthony, on the little round thingies. Yeah, you know, it's just to make the whole thing look a little bit softer. I do the same, Anthony. You can always see everything better in a photo, and you can decide on position, change it. Absolutely. I take photos and then still do it wrong. Well, Deborah, I'm doing exactly the same. I've got it here and it's still going, yeah, dreadfully wrong. But like I say, it's because I have actually put some blocks underneath here. So I do know that if you look at my image here, if I bring that up, can you guys see that? Maybe flick it round to the camera. Oh, there we go. That's better. So you can see there, because I didn't have the cardboard blocks underneath at the time. Okay, everything is really tucked in, so I will have to actually go in there, chop those bits back. And you may notice that it's actually on my workbench, and the reason it's sat on my workbench there is because, as I said to you guys originally, I actually cut the canvas piece of MDF as well. So let's just so everyone takes a picture and everyone does it wrong. Well, that's absolutely fantastic. Jan is on board. We better all be good now. So you can see I've really got to trim these bits down, but you get the idea. You can play to your heart's content. So I just sort of like try to balance it, and obviously, like I say, these are well outside what they would be. And then let's have a look. We've got another little clock that was going to go there, but it's all about layering. So I've got the circles here on top of the big clock. Super late, but I've made it at the end. You did indeed, Jan. We'll let you off this time. And then that one's going to tuck there. That one's under there. Okay. And then, like I say, it's just a case of laying everything. So as I just said, Jan, because I've put some blocks of cardboard underneath this part with the frame, all these pieces don't fit how that one is. Okay, they don't fit. So I will be going away and I'll be finishing this in my own time, so I don't want to bore you guys with that. Our little image there, which is the mold. Okay, that is it just there. She's really pretty. It's sort of like an Art Deco, Art Nouveau, which goes particularly well with the Statue of Liberty and the New York theme. So she was going to sit sort of like down here, just tucked in there, and then we've got these beautiful stars, and I'm sure loads of people have got this mold from Finnabair. Really beautiful mold. That's got some stars in there, so I'm just going to tuck those in there, and let's have a look. Push that under. So you can see I'm probably boring everyone now just showing you, but this is how I sort of go about things. And like I say, you just keep on moving them. And even our little cogs here, okay, these are the little cogs, okay. So these are just die cuts using 1mm card that I've cut twice, okay. And then I have just used a texture paste underneath just to give them a little bit. Let's see how far we can go there. About that far. You can just see the texture just there. And then I've just gone over using these two waxes, okay, that are from Pentart. So it's those ones there, and they give colours actually. Turtle green is one and honey gold is the other, and they're sort of like that verdigris type of colouring. Okay, so let's just pop those there. So again, we're just going to lift that up. Okay, I think it was that little bit there. So we just got a little bit of shine, like I say, 1, 2, 3. I'll work in threes, or try to, and then like I say, we stick them all in the wrong place. That little one, which is a really cute little one, okay, which is that one just there. That was going to sit around about there, and then it was one up there just to like coordinate in with the clock. And I think there was a couple more. One behind there. So it's all about the layering when you do things like this. Although, like I say, I'm no expert. I just have a play. Just have a play. That's the best possible way. And then, did I use that? Yeah, I think that was tucked underneath there as well. Like there. 3rd Avenue. What's on 3rd Avenue? Is that the Empire State, or is that 5th Avenue? I can never remember. I'll tell you a story. Once I was actually lucky enough to go to New York. Went there with work. Then I went with my wife, and it was at night. And I said to her, "We'll go up the Empire State Building, and we'll have a look at all the lights across the city." So we went into this. I looked at this building, and bear with me, it was at night, okay. So I went in this building, which I thought was the Empire State Building. Well, I got in there, and these 2 beefy security guards approached us, and they asked us what we were doing. So I said, I want to go up the top to have a better view of the city. I said, this is the Empire State Building, isn't it? The guy goes, no, he goes, that's further down the street. What a fool I felt. There we go. But layering is, let's have a look. So got those stars all over my Cogmas tree I made at Christmas last year, and of course it does light up, Anthony. Ian, I am absolutely shocked that it lights up. I must say, Ian is fantastic where it comes not only to moulded pieces using resin, but they also move and they light up. An absolute phenomenal projects he creates. So please, if you're not already a friend of Ian's, go and befriend him, because then you can see all of his beautiful projects that he's made. Let's have a look. We've also got 5th Avenue is the posh shops. Yeah, actually I think I was dragged down there. We actually went past CBS TV studios, and lo and behold, out the front of their studios was a garden. Yet stuck in the middle of a concrete forest was a garden, and inside that garden was Charlie Dimmock. And there she was doing a gardening show. That was just so weird. Lovely person though Charlie was. So there we go. That is my finished project. Like I say, I am going to go in there, trim those pieces back so it all fits, and hopefully next time you guys see it, it's going to look more like that. Possibly. So that's how it all works. I think that is really it. Yeah, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it at that. Now, if you haven't done so already, let's have a look. I'm just going to see if we can find out if That's Crafty have still got a sale. So just bear with me one moment. Okay, they still have a sale, folks. I just went onto their website, as you can see. Sadly, I haven't got my microphone on that page, but head over there, because the Prima mold that I showed you normally retails at, I think it's either £19.99 or £18.99, and I got it for £8.99. Absolute bargain. Head on over to That's Crafty's online store. Let me just see if I can just grab. Just bear with me one moment. So if I do go off air, it's because I haven't done something right. I'm just going to see if I can add myself into that as a camera. Just bear with me one moment. Video capture. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, just knock it down to there. Okay, I think you can probably all hear me now. Just done a bit of jiggery-mapokery, as they call it. Let's just go and have a look on the That's Crafty's page. Okay, and we'll actually see if that mould is still available if you are interested. Okay, so let me just type in Prima. Prima. Maybe I should have typed in moulds. Moulds. Let's have a look. I can't even see what I'm typing. Let's type in moulds. Okay, let's see if we can find that particular mould. Oh, here they are. Okay, there we go. That is the mould in question, the one that I used. And look at that. Oh, there we go. Normal price £17.99, but 50% off, £8.99. So please head on over there, grab that mould. It is a beautiful mould. The only reason why I used that mould is because originally Prima were going to bring out a Statue of Liberty mould, so I was all excited, and then they cancelled it. So that's the reason why I used that mould, but it's an absolute bargain. With That's Crafty, just to let you know, if you spend £20 or more, then it is free delivery and it's fast delivery as well. Right, okay. Let's see if we can get back to me. Okay, boom, 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 boom. There we go. Okay, I am back. There we go. But probably not for too long. Right, let's just have a quick run down there. So sorry about all that messing around there, just so I could get a voice on the web pages. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. It's an Empire State Building, 20 West 29th Street. Ooh, there we go. Yeah, I don't know how I got it wrong. There I was looking up what I thought was the Empire State, and it absolutely wasn't, and the security guard soon told me. I think that looks great as is. It looks amazing, says Denise. Thank you very much. Brianna says that looks fantastic. Sheila says it's stunning. Nikki, love, love, love. Joan, wonderful. Marisol says love it. Jane says need to make this for my daughter. She lives and works in New York. Oh wow, Jane, yeah, you've got to do that. So if you're going to be grabbing, like I said, any of those moulds, then go over to the That's Crafty website, because they do all of the Stamperia products there as well. Over £20, free delivery, can't go wrong. Louise says thanks very much for a great live. You're absolutely welcome, Louise. Mary, love your work, Anthony. Oh, bless you. Kay, it would be the same but different. What would be the same but different? They have. Oh, I think we're talking about the sale here. This is brilliant, Anthony. Thank you for another amazing live. You're absolutely welcome, Sarah. And by the way, Sarah does some great lives in her craft cabin, so go and have a look and see what Sarah's up to as well. Sarah Lou, that is. Mary says thank you. Sonia is still watching. Thank you, Anthony, for a wonderful live. Have a lovely evening. Everyone stay safe. Absolutely likewise. Thank you, Sue. Nikki, this is... think it's the portrait one, not sure. Oh, hello, where did the surname come from? Sorry. Jill is still watching. Thank you for the time and showing your ideas. You're absolutely welcome. I was shouting at the laptop. Wow, you are good with technology. Who's that? Deborah? Me? I don't know. it's something I'm passionate about. Something I'm passionate about. Great live, says Noreen. You're very welcome, Noreen. Great project. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, everyone, for the company this evening. Oh, that's absolutely lovely to say. Yes, thank you all for the company this evening. It's like having crafty friends around, isn't it? Love demonstration. Thank you. Always inspirational, says Elizabeth. You're welcome. Thank you for your tips. So happy your muse is still with you. Oh, well, it is at the moment, Blanche, but you never know. Thank you, Anthony, says Deborah. Dominique says, thank you for showing us, Anthony. You're welcome. Ian, great live as always. Deborah, yes, I can't work out how to get from one screen to another. Well, Deborah, let me just pause there and we'll go back to let's have a look. I'm just checking. Right, okay. So, as well as that one, we also have my YouTube channel. Okay, so Deborah, if you do have a PC, then head on over to my YouTube channel, and what you'll actually find there is some videos that I've been working on to actually explain to people how I do all of my camera work. Okay, that's one thing I always love to give people the inspiration. So you'll see there's all these ones here with this funny little logo. Okay, and these are the piece of software I use. Jill has also uses OBS Studio, and I helped Jill get set up. So go on over there. There is a whole section of OBS videos. They explain absolutely everything for you to get started. You can have 2 cameras, 4 cameras, etc., etc., Deborah. So if you are interested, then please head on over there. Right, okay, I am going to finish this live now. So thank you. Let's have a look. Anthony's videos on how to use OBS Studios are fantastic. Oh, thank you, Brianna. I'll pay you later. Thank you. Just need to find the start, as I missed it. Right, Jane, the start will be when we finish this live. It will sort of like then upload fully to Crafting Together All Brands, but you will also find it on my YouTube channel. That is let's have a look. Info pages. Have we got anything there? There we go. That's the address for that. So that's the YouTube channel. Patricia has joined us. We're all leaving now, though, Patricia. We're just walking out the door. But thank you so much for popping by. All of you, stay safe. Have a great weekend. And if none of you are doing anything on Monday, which is the 30th of May, then I shall be at the Create and Craft Studios with Karen Davis Sugarcraft Moulds. So I think I've got about 8 or 9 different molds. I'll be uploading some imagery over the next few days, so if you can, like I say, join us that show. There's lots of beautiful molds. That's all from me tonight. Thank you so much for joining me, and take care.